Australia, home to some of the strangest and most dangerous wildlife, stunning beaches, love it or hate it Vegemite, and of course, one of our most iconic biscuit makers, Arnott's. Creators of national treasures like Tim Tams, Scotch Fingers, Monte Carlos, Tiny Teddies, and much more. Arnott's have now teamed up with the Australian Woman's Weekly to publish their very own cookbook. So is this cookbook going to live up to the legacy of their biscuits? There's only one way to find out, by making 3 of their biscuity creations. But before we get cooking, let's take a closer look at the book itself. The cookbook is bright, colourful, and honestly looks good enough to eat. It's got that classic Australian Woman's Weekly touch, a clean layout with big glossy photos that let you see your delicious creations before you even start. Every recipe comes with a delicious looking picture, which is a big win for us, as we like to have an image to refer to when the instructions suddenly become a little vague. But the instructions in this book are simple and clear, no weird chef language or mysterious nonsense, just straightforward, easy to follow steps. Perfect for anyone who's new to baking or looking to get started. The ingredients are super simple too. Most recipes only use a handful of common ingredients, the kind you probably already have in your house. I mean, who doesn't have a packet of biscuits lying around ready to be turned into a dessert? There's also a good mix of recipes. Some are super simple and some are a bit more impressive for when you want to show off at your next family gathering. But now it's time to put our biscuit where our mouth is and find out if these recipes are good enough to become the new family favourite, and maybe even replace Grandma's apple pie. Sorry Grandma. And what better way to kick things off than with Arnott's take on a true Aussie classic, lemon slice. Our first recipe is a Scotch finger lemon slice, using one of Arnott's most iconic biscuits, the Scotch finger of course. This is one of the oldest creations, first introduced in 1906 and inspired by the Scottish shortbread. It was designed with that little groove down the middle so you can snap and share, or if you're like me, snap and not share. Now let's see how it goes in a lemon slice. Start by lining the square baking tin with baking paper and give it a light spray with oil. Then place as many Scotch fingers as you can in the bottom of the tray, breaking them in half, trying to squeeze in as many as possible. And try to resist eating the leftover ones as we'll need them for later. Next, in a bowl, add 250 grams of softened cream cheese, one 395 gram tin of condensed milk, the zest of 1 lemon, and the juice of 1 or 2 lemons. But if your lemon tree hasn't grown any lemons yet, just add 80 milliliters of bottled lemon juice. Mix with an electric beater, or for those without, grab a whisk and get whisking. Beat or whisk for 3 minutes or until everything is well combined. Then pour it over your Scotch fingers, making sure to spread it evenly. Crush up a few more Scotch fingers if you haven't eaten them all yet, and sprinkle them over the top. Place your slice in the fridge for at least 4 hours, though overnight is best. And that's it, a simple, easy recipe that anyone can make. Now, while we are waiting for our slice to set, let's move on to our next dish, Arnott's Tart version of their own iced VoVo. The iced VoVo tart is a recreation of another iconic Arnott's biscuit, the iced VoVo. This Aussie favourite has been a household staple since it was first introduced in 1906. For those of you who don't know, the iced VoVo is a shortbread biscuit topped with raspberry jam, pink fondant stripes, and a sprinkle of shredded coconut. Unmistakable and instantly recognisable to any true blue Aussie. So, how does this classic biscuit become a full-size tart? Start by placing 1 packet of iced VoVos into a food processor and pulsing until it becomes a fine crumb. If you don't have a food processor, a plastic bag and a rolling pin will do the job and release a bit of frustration while you're at it. Once your biscuits have turned into crumbs, add in 100 grams of melted butter and mix well. Tip the mixture into a greased tart tin or whatever tin you've got, spread it out evenly and make sure to press it into the corners. Then place it into the fridge to set for 20 minutes. For our filling, in a pot over low heat, add 1 tablespoon of milk along with 100 grams of pink marshmallows. Keep stirring until everything melts, then take it off the heat and let it cool for 10 minutes. While that's cooling, pour 150 milliliters of cream into a bowl. Using an electric beater or an analog beater, also known as a whisk, whip the cream until it's nice and fluffy, or until your arms feel like they're about to fall off. Pour the cooled marshmallow mixture into the whipped cream and stir to combine. Then spread it out evenly over your biscuit base and pop it back in the fridge for another 2 hours to set. Next, for the raspberry topping, in a small pot over low heat, add 150 grams of frozen raspberries, 1 tablespoon of caster sugar, and 80 milliliters of water. Stir until the sugar dissolves, then turn up the heat and let simmer for 2 minutes. Add a mixture of 2 teaspoons gelatine powder that has been dissolved in 2 teaspoons of boiling water. Then remove it from the heat and strain into a jug. Chill it for about 20 minutes until slightly thick but still pourable. Then pour it over your tart and place it back in the fridge for another 2 hours. While that sets, whip up another 150 milliliters of cream, and this time I'm definitely using the electric mixer because my arms still hurt. Then transfer it into a piping bag fitted with a star tip for decorating later. Once the tart has fully set, pipe 2 rows of cream along each side, trying to make sure they are as straight as possible, and sprinkle with coconut flakes down the center. And there you have it, a VoVo tart that looks just like the real biscuit, just only a tiny bit bigger. With our tart finished, it's now time to combine 2 Aussie icons, Tim Tams and Pavlova. If you've never heard of a Tim Tam, you've either been living underneath a rock or seriously missing out. The Tim Tam has been one of Australia's most loved biscuits since it first hit shelves in 1964, and in 2025 alone, 1 billion original Tim Tams were produced according to Arnott's. So if you've never tried one, do yourself a favour, grab a Tim Tam, eat it straight, do a Tim Tam slam, or turn it into this Tim Tam Pavlova. Grab 6 eggs and separate the yolks from the whites by tipping the yolk back and forth between the 2 eggshells, letting the egg whites fall into a bowl below. Place the egg whites into the bowl of a stand mixer and beat on medium-high speed until they form stiff peaks. While the mixer is running, gradually add in 330 grams of sugar, 1 spoon at a time. Once all the sugar is in, continue beating for 10 minutes to allow all the sugar to dissolve. Next, add 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder, 2 teaspoons of corn flour, and 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. Mix on low speed until fully combined, then gently fold in 60 roughly chopped Tim Tams. Prepare a greased pan lined with baking paper. Pour in the mixture and bake in a preheated oven at 150 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. Then lower the heat to 120 degrees Celsius and continue baking for a further hour and 40 minutes. Once cooked, allow the pavlova to cool in the oven with the door slightly open. For the chocolate topping, place 100 grams of chocolate chips into a microwave safe bowl. Microwave for 30 seconds, stir and repeat until fully melted. Before decorating, cut the remaining Tim Tams in half diagonally. Top your cool pavlova with Tim Tams and drizzle over the melted chocolate. And with that, our Tim Tam Pavlova is officially done. It's looking pretty impressive, but the real test is always the taste. So let's cut into all our desserts and see if they are all as good as they look. Now the moment of truth has arrived. We've turned 3 classic Aussie biscuits into desserts. It's time to see if it was all worth it or if we should have left them in biscuit form. First up, the Scotch finger lemon slice. It's super creamy and smooth. The lemon gives you that perfect tang, and the Scotch finger base has just the right amount of crunch. This thing is dangerously delicious. You could easily eat half the tray without even realising it. It's super simple, and honestly, that's exactly what makes it so good. This will be a crowd pleaser at your next barbecue, no question. Just make sure you make extra because these will disappear fast. Next up, the iced VoVo tart. This thing looks like a masterpiece. For any Aussie, if this doesn't make you feel like a kid again, nothing will. The marshmallow filling is super light and fluffy. The raspberry layer on top brings a nice fruity hit, and the coconut down the middle just ties the whole tart together. If you love the iced VoVo biscuit, this is the deluxe edition. Bigger, fluffier, and way more dangerous. This dessert will steal the show at any afternoon tea. And don't be surprised if Grandma asks you for the recipe. And finally, the Tim Tam Pavlova. This looks absolutely incredible. If combining 2 Aussie icons doesn't win you over, nothing will. The whipped cream is fluffy and rich, and the chopped Tim Tams add that chocolatey biscuit goodness throughout. Getting the Tim Tam chunk in your bite honestly takes it to the next level, and the chocolate drizzle on top rounds everything out perfectly, adding the extra chocolate hit without going completely over the top. The pavlova turned out exactly the way a good pavlova should. Crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. This one's a showstopper. It's perfect for parties, birthdays, or just when you need to justify eating a whole dessert by yourself. Honestly, I don't think there's a better way to end this biscuit-themed cooking adventure. Now that we've cooked, tasted and judged all 3 desserts, it's time to have one final look at the Arnott's cookbook. Overall, this book is simple and accessible for everyone, from the average baker to someone who has never even picked up a whisk in their life. This cookbook is for anyone who wants to whip up a quick, delicious dessert without stress. It's also a perfect way to start baking with your kids, as the recipes are very fun and simplistic. All the recipes are easy to follow, and some even include QR codes linking to short videos that show you exactly how to make them. You don't even technically need the cookbook, since Arnott's has most of the recipes plus more available on the website. That said, there are 15 plus exclusive recipes in the book that you won't find anywhere else. But for old-fashioned people like me, having a cookbook to read from while you cook just makes everything easier and more enjoyable, as cookbooks don't turn themselves off after 30 seconds. Since Arnott's mainly makes sweet biscuits, this cookbook only has dessert recipes, with one singular dip and cracker exception. So for those people who like cookbooks that contain both savoury and sweet recipes, this might not be for you. Overall, the cookbook feels fun, nostalgic and approachable. It also makes baking feel easy and enjoyable, while still letting you create desserts that taste like they come straight from Grandma's kitchen. If you've made any of the recipes from the Arnott's cookbook, let us know in the comments which one is your go-to for the family barbecue. And don't forget to like and subscribe, as it lets us know you want to see more cookbook reviews like this one. Happy baking!